Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So, Stellar Forged Blade, well, we actually can view him in the game since the game update is live, but we also have the deep dive and the full ability drops. And that's why we are gonna discuss that. First things first, I want to make this absolutely clear. I hope every new champion is good and useful and fun and great. And I have zero reason to think or say otherwise if I do think so. I am kind of worried. I don't like what they did with the blade. I'll be absolutely honest, because whilst initially, once you kind of like glance those abilities in the context of blade, there seem to have been quite a few improvements, like, you know, degen versus bleed. Degen's obviously better. He's got that atrophy, right, and it's going to work a little bit differently, but fine. His specials are cooler. Level 2 can power steal, and level specials can stun if you launch them at max power. There are some very cool things. But, like with Star-Lord, they have removed some very big core mechanics from Blade, which is what makes me worried a lot. There is no ability accuracy reduction, which was, if you ask me, the best thing about Blade. The second best thing about Blade, I would say, or top 3 thing about Blade, was him being able to shrug the debuffs off faster, which is gone now too. So, I just don't know how he fits in today's game, because he's a champion with virtually 0 defensive strength. Well, it gives him 2, but it really isn't 2. And as a champion with virtually 0 defensive strength, he would have to be exceptionally good offensively, but I have my doubts. So let's go over his abilities. Right, 33,480 prestige-wise. So let's check out 33,000. 33,400. What was it again? 480. 33,480. 33,480 puts him in top 30 prestige, because every new champion that Kabam makes has to be top 30 prestige, which I hate, man. I really do hate that they do that. So his prestige is slightly better than Star-Lord Stellar Forged. So there you go. He's a decently good prestige rank up, I guess. He's saying survivability 4, and again, I don't think it is a true 4, because again, he can't regen past 70% health. So as far, like, again, in many areas in the game, that regen is going to be great. In the game mode called Battlegrounds, that regen is gonna suck because it's irrelevant. So that's just one of those things where, again, I don't think it does Blade any favors. I know not everything's Battlegrounds, and I completely agree, but if a champion is good for that game mode, that immediately gives him like a lot of extra purpose, use, and popularity. And damage 4, I really hope that's true, though. I do hope he has good damage, because that is the only way he could potentially and possibly be somewhat useful champion. Ease of use 2.5, don't know about that. Utility 2.5. Alright. As Blade makes his return, he's sporting some new and familiar mechanics. Danger Sense is back, except it's shit now. This time lowering buff duration and nullifying pesky true buffs. While Blade has been known for his deadly bleed debuffs in the contest thus far, our Stellar Forge friend prefers melting the health bars with degeneration. That is better. And in a true Mystic fashion, his power gaining abilities are through the roof. Now, feeding off nearby degenerating foes. On top of everything, Blade's Fractured Power Bar makes him excellent. I do love the Fractured Power Bar, though, I must say. Especially in a champion that, you know, can gain extra power quick. So stun, atrophy, nullify. Again, that's barely a nullify, though. Power gain, degeneration, torment, power steal. Attacker summary: gain danger sense against cosmics and hashtag gods. Well-timed blocks and buff expiry inflict degeneration, while nearby degenerating opponents gain power. Special attacks inflict degeneration debuffs. At 3 degeneration, special 1 grants temporary danger sense. Special 1 inflicts torment. Awakened blocking grants regeneration. Defender summary, there's nothing. Just don't use, well, there's nothing really. Don't degen against him, I suppose. Right. Abilities. A Hunter Forge in ISO always active. Blade's Stellar Enhancement grants him Fracture Power Bar. The final hit of any special attack activated while Blade has 3 bars of power. Inflict a stun debuff for 2.5 seconds. Cooldown 16 seconds. You see, again, like, because there is this cooldown, you can't form any stun loop with that. So I'm not entirely sure how great that stun is going to be. We'll see, but okay, fair enough. Danger Sense, and this is like where the first big thing is. Blade's Heightened Sense causes him to activate Danger Sense with his special attack 1 or 0.2 seconds after the start of the fight against Cosmic or God champions. This ability grants the following effects. Attack rating, that's good. Opponent is inflicted with an indefinite 50% atrophy passive whilst this effect is active. Unblockable buffs suffer an additional 25% reduced duration. Just for perspective, Shattra's atrophy is like 70%, and then you have like Mojos and Kindred that goes up to like 90% basically. And inflicting a degeneration effect nullifies 1 true buff, which again, I don't think is... This Danger Sense is definitely inferior, I'll put it like that. I think a 50% atrophy is significantly worse than ability accuracy reduction. So that is my first kind of because if he did have like a 50 or 70% ability accuracy reduction with his Danger Sense, then he could potentially be a viable option for like a whole bunch of stuff immediately. You know, failing Serpent's abilities, failing Dark Phoenix's abilities and whatnot. Here, not so much. Degeneration effects. Blade only benefits from 50% of the Mystic Dispersion mastery, because Kabam hates that mastery, but while nearby degenerating opponents, he passively gains 2% of a bar of power per second for each degeneration up to 10%. You see, I don't like it, especially because he has Fracture Power Bar. They could have just given him full MD. Blade's Degeneration, passives deal 500 direct damage over 18 seconds, and scale with base attack only, max stacks 5. So there's a hard cap limit on those with 18-second duration. Performing well-timed block, inflicted degeneration passive. When opponent buff expires natural, is nullified, inflicted degeneration passive. Special attack 1. On activation, if the opponent is suffering from 3+ degeneration effects and Blade's Infinite Danger Sense isn't active, gain for 20 seconds. Okay, that's nice. I like that he does have ability to activate Danger Sense himself. When the first hit inflicts non-stacking 100% Torment debuff for 20 seconds. Final 2 hits inflict Degeneration debuff. Max stacks 20, but these are 12 second long. Well, there would be 24 second long. Special attack 2. Ranged hits inflicts Degeneration debuff, dealing 3000 direct damage over 6 seconds, max stacks 10. While the opponent is below max power. Ranged hits also power steal 10.2% of a bar of power, granting 40% of the power stolen. That's nice. And special attack 3, Daywalker's Haymaker, inflict 5 degeneration debuffs, each dealing 8k direct damage over 60 seconds, max stacks 10, so you can drop 2 of these. Which I think where a lot of his damage actually lies, which, take it for what you will. Signature ability, Enhanced Vampiric Immortality, that's his regen basically. Synergy bonuses with Star-Lord, Stellar Forge, and somebody coming soon. He will have Danger Sense increased potency, which is very useful. More attack and better atrophy. While Blade's atrophy is active, regeneration, that's whatever. Ghost Rider Battlegast, obviously, because of degen. Offensive stat focus, critical rating. Sure. So that's his Blade. And again, just trying to be purely as objective here as I can. First, let's take a look at the Mystic class as it exists. Because he has got 0 defensive value. So he's, automatically going to be taking a step back to a whole bunch of champions that are dual purpose champs, in my opinion. And then he's going to end up competing with, Doctor Strange. He's going to compete with Juggernaut, Kushala. He's going to compete with Shatra, Nico. He's going to compete with, you know, Tigra and Hood and Werewolf by Night. Do I think he does anything like exceptionally amazing to a point where it would be worth running him over, you know, any of those champions in most cases? I'm not sold on it. I'm really not. If he has crazy amount of damage, he will potentially be useful and popular. But if not, there's just no chance. If his damage like fairly mid, like there's no reason to use him, for instance, over Shatra, right? Shatra has better atrophy. She also can spam special attacks and gain power quite quickly. And she works in like a ton of matchups to her full potential rather than just against the Cosmic Champions. Because even if you can access the danger sense on the level 1s, you know, it'd still be kind of like a bit starting the fight a bit on a back step, I would say. So there we go. And let's take a look at the Cosmic Champions. Which champions do we think he's gonna annihilate? Absolutely. Is he gonna be exceptionally good against Dark Phoenix? I think he could be okay, because you can parry a lot and, you know, spam your specials, and then you would have the atrophy in the end to take less of that incinerate damage. Would need to test that, but again, I don't think he would be accounted on par with obviously Nico and Hood and whatnot. He would be more similar to Shatra, probably. But would need to do some testing. But you know, if he can finish the fight 90+%, I think that would be okay. Then we would have something like Master. I think he would actually be quite good against, but which we could see more in the future, because on parries your degens would still work. You don't really do anything in your base hits, and you gain power quick on your special. So I think he could work there reasonably good. Imperiosa, I think he would not be great against, because you do not want to parry her a lot, generally speaking. Would he be good against Serpent? They showcased him against Serpent, but I couldn't help but notice that he finished that fight at like 70-some% health. So I guess it depends on the strength levels there. So I think he can work against Serpent. I don't think he's going to be like an amazing Serpent counter. And we have Deathless Thanos, obviously, which with level 3s potentially, but that will likely take a bit of time, because level 2s would be nice, but there are a lot of hits. Level 1s are not, and level 3s would not count as many hits. So parry a lot and activate your danger sense would be active, and then just drop 2 level 3s and then level 1s, I guess. Definitely needs a lot of testing done. But the fact that he doesn't have his ability accuracy reduction, the fact that he does not shrug the debuffs quicker, and all of that has effectively just been really replaced with an atrophy, I am not sold. But I'm also not taking it much to the heart, because I personally look at all of the Stellar Forge champions just like little toys that you collect in order to form the big Transformer toy, which is going to be the Doom, because that has been the case, you know, so far with the Stellar Forge Star-Lord. That has been the case with most of the Deathless champions. So I just hope that, like, my realistic hope is, I hope they get the Cosmic Doom right. That's number 1. Number 2 is if any of those champions actually turns out to be kind of good and useful, I'm super happy, but I'm not really expecting it. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you guys soon. Bye-bye. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about